Hello everybody, are we ready for episode 3? Let me turn this light on. That's better. We are going to be going journal through life from beginning. It's a series that I started in on my new channel, JLB, to showcase my genealogy, my trip from 45 years ago to today and on beyond, and the new things I'm learning and the new things I'm doing. But I wanted to bring it very back to the basics, very basic. So if somebody's just starting, say you're a teenager or a young person, or you're an older person that has decided that it's important to transfer your information down to your grandkids and great grandkids about where you came from, what your family is. I was telling my grandson earlier today, genealogy was very important in the Bible. Anybody that studies the Bible know that, of course, throughout the whole Bible, they would be the genealogy of the different people. They would bring Adam down to Moses, down to Noah, down to Moses, then down to Jesus. So it's really an important factor in all of our life. It's in our breeding. It's in our thing, the thirst for knowing our family. We used to be able to do that just simply by going to grandma's for dinner. You learned all about your aunts, uncles, cousins. Don't do that anymore. So I just wanted to touch on, well, I touched on it on the first episode about why I got into it, but I want to go into it with a little bit more detail about what happened to my brother-in-law. The day before Easter, 1978, we were having a really great visit with him. He'd come in from Virginia with his new wife. We knew her from when she was younger, but he married her in Virginia, and she came in. They were having a good visit. And he was outside in the backyard at his dad's place working on his car. He had a beautiful black car, beautiful. And somehow or another, the crib lock shifted, so the car fell on him. Wasn't a good time for us. We had a really bad experience. But the sad part about it is the car fell on him the day before he would have turned 20 years old. But he had a wonderful life. When he was young, he left out and went to Ohio and Virginia, Florida, and he went to places that he had family, that he got jobs, and he worked, and he'd come in and see his mom and dad every once in a while. Then he'd be off and gone again. So he had a lot of experience in the 20 years that he was on the planet. He loved his old cars. He did. He loved his old cars. They would get into races with them and everything. But anyway, he had gotten married, like I said, just the year before. But he was a fun-loving, extremely funny and entertaining fella. So when Tony did that's my cousin on my mom's side, when she did her genealogy report for school, and I read it, Grandma let me read it, and I read it, and I got fascinated by everything. So with the help of my family, my wonderful young girls putting up with Mom, sitting with books spread out all over the place, and pen and paper up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and being good girls and let me sleep in a little bit after I'd been up that late. I had a wonderful family that supported me in the genealogy all the way through. Especially Tim. He would take me over to the courthouse and come back and pick me up. He takes me to the cemeteries. He takes me to the library. He takes me all kinds of places just in order to feed this obsession that I have with genealogy. And I have found a lot of things. So I was working on it this past week, and I found out I needed to quit because I was up into the 15th generation just verifying the information that I had, because I didn't have the sources, wasn't taught to put the sources down until later on, so some of my stuff didn't have the sources in it. So I'm going back and putting new sources into place that has the exact same information that I had already come up with over many a time, taking trips to the to the Fayette County Courthouse or to the library or to the cemeteries or talking to people. All of my best memories is setting up with my Grandma Johnson, Grandma Wilson, and them talking about living down here on the creek and everything that went on in their family and all the wonderful stories which we'll get into as we go through this series. My mom, who would tell me, I don't know anything, Kathy, don't ask me questions, but when I would get excited and I'd tell her what I found out, she'd, oh yeah, I remember that, and go on and tell me some wonderful details about the stuff that you can't get in a book, find in a one sentence thing. So it's important. The back in the day when all this was going on, you would have dinner around the dinner table. And doing the dinner around the dinner table, even if the kids weren't allowed to speak, which you normally didn't around the dinner table, you let the adults do the talking, you could still hear, I mean, you still had ears, so you could hear what was going on, who was getting married to who, you know, somebody that had passed that you know, or what a cousin was doing, or something excited the parents. You would find out all that stuff. We don't sit at the dining room table anymore and eat. We don't have those big meals. Well, there's just me and Tim usually to have dinner anyway, but we do talk back and forth. But back in the day, everybody sat at the dinner table. So I want to become your dinner table. I want you to sit around and talk to me about things that going on in your life that you know that's happening to you, and I'll tell you stuff that's going on with me, so that we now become an extended family. You don't have to be in my family tree for me to consider you as part of the family. So if you want to join my little group, please hit the subscribe button. Tell me where you're from. Tell me if you think we're related. Maybe I can find you in the book. Maybe you've got answers to questions that I need. Who knows? But anyway, I just talked to my daughter. I had no idea. I knew my new son-in-law was born in September, but I would have swore it was the 29th. And she said, nope, that's not it. So now I know. So in order to get this started, I'm going to redo some of the things that we did I went over the forms in episode 2. Today I'm going to fill out a couple of the forms, and then I'm going to give you some websites and some information that I have about those websites that will then you can decide which one you want to deal with, whether you want to do it on a full-time basis, whether you just want to have a little notebook like this, just a little scrapbook that has nothing but your ancestral charts on it that tells who it is and how far you can go back. That might be all you want, which is perfectly fine. Nobody has to have 90 million books like I have. That's an exaggeration, but not by much. But I'm trying to, like I told my grandson, I'm trying to get this all in a spot that I can put it on. Let me get the right one here. I can put it on this so that no matter who wants to look at it, no matter what time they want to look at it, they can plug this into a computer somewhere. They can pull it up, as long as they got Family Tree Maker on their computer, or use my computer to pull it up with, and they can find if they're in my family tree and if I have the right information. Or they can just look backwards in time to their people. You can go in now and put pictures on, which I will. But me personally, I like a good paper copy. I did this once before with Family Tree Maker, and it was wonderful up to the point Windows 10 come in, and I'll tell you that story in a little bit when we get to Family Tree Maker. All right, I'm going to transfer you to the overhead spot in my computer, and I'm going to show you how to fill out a pedigree chart and a family group sheet using my dad's information. He's past, gosh, 89, so that's what, 21 and 25. That is, oh my goodness, can't be that long. I'm hoping I'm still filming. My phone went blank. There we go. I'm back. All right, I'm going to put you overhead so I won't have to see that, and I will be back to fill out these papers, and we'll talk some more. All right, the first paper we're going to fill out is what I showed you last week. It's the one that I made. It's a family group sheet. I'm going to do it on my dad, simply because I have his information. I strongly suggest that you invest in a pencil, especially if you're going to do it this way. If you're going to do it on a computer, you won't need it, but I still like a good old paper backup, especially since when you get it on a computer and you get a lot of stuff in it, like my pencil sharpener. Isn't that cool? I got a football, a soccer ball, no, a football, a baseball, and a basketball. I don't know where. I think I got them for as an Easter something or other to put in the kids' Easter baskets one year. But I still got them. Anyway, we are now going to go on to filling out the family group sheet. Hey guys, just wanted to come back. I made a little bit of a boo-boo in one part of it, so I'm going to have to piece this in. Hopefully it goes in well. Hopefully you all can stay with me here. So we're going to go over this sheet again. This is the connection. Will be my father. His first name is Robert. I'm not going to put all of his information in there because it's just too crazy. These people out on the internet can take all that information and do some crazy stuff with it, so I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is just to set his birth up like this. You'll put a number. Say we can put 2, 12, 29, 35, 30, yeah, 35. We don't care. Okay, but that's not his real birth date. I'm just saying for the record. But that's how you would set it up. You'd put the day, the month, or the month, the day, and the year, just like you do normally. So that way you would know. You could put his place. He is born in Beckley, just wherever. And then it's Raleigh County, West Virginia. You want to put the name of the city, the county, and the state all together. Who his parents, his dad's name was also Robert. And his mom's name was Dolly. Now for the woman, you're going to want to put the maiden name in. So remember that, you know, if you know the whole name, put the whole name in, including her maiden name. Dad died in I'm going to say the same thing, 2/12/95. And he died in, say you just know he died in West Virginia. That's a big part. That's all you need to know is where he died at. Now, if you have the place and stuff that it is, if you know what the cause was, you put that in there. If you know where he's buried at, you put that here. If you don't, you leave those blanks empty so that then you know when you're looking at this sheet of paper exactly what you need to fill in. Now, of course, this being my dad, I have all this information. I'm just not comfortable putting it out in the internet yet. If you're researching Dad and you need to have that information, you can contact me through the Gmail and we'll have a discussion about that, but not online. His spouse was Mom. I'm going to put the name everybody knowed her by. Oops, I forgot to see. Frances. And she was born in 1941. Let's just say that. You know, it wasn't her birthday, but we'll say that anyway. And she was born here in Ansted. And you may not know what county Ansted is, so you leave that blank. You leave enough space to put that in. Her parents were Donald and Lottie. You may not know what Lottie's maiden name was at this time. You won't fill that part in. This is just a sample to give you information about putting stuff in and letting go of not being every single piece on this thing filled out when you first sit down. What you want to do is to fill it out a little bit at a time and enjoy the process of learning the rest of the information. That's critical. They were married in 1960 in Fayetteville. Like I said, this is all just generic, so it doesn't matter. She died in, let's say 2010, also in Beckley. And she was just sick. What kind of sickness, we don't know. If you happen to find her death certificate and they tell you what the death certificate is, then you would want to put that in there. I have a great-great-great-grandfather that fell in a coal tipple and got smothered to death because the coal fell on top of him. But they will have that listed on the death certificate if you're lucky enough to find it. The cemetery it's in Victor, say. Of course, we have Jan, me, Steve, Jewel, and Brian. That is the kids. That's the generalized version of filling out a family tree. Hold on a second. Alright, so that's going to finish that. If you have any notes, say, you can say somebody died during COVID. You could put, they died during COVID. They may not have died of COVID, but they died during COVID. And anybody that knows anything about this time will know exactly what you're talking about. Who was the contact? It was me. I knew all this information. The family, it becomes the surname of my dad and the maiden name of my mom. So therefore you know that we're researching those two particular family histories. And say, Dad, we can mark him. He has a second wife. You'll put it over on the second page. It could be Mom. She might have had a second husband. And then you'll put the spouse of the second person. Say it was Kay. And if you don't know anything about her yet, you don't put anything in there until you find it out. Down here on the bottom, if you had more children than what fit on this side, you can put them on this side. Or if, say, Dad and Kay had kids, you'd put them on this side. So it's just an easy two-piece paper that you can fill out that will give you the information that you need to go further in your investigation. So now when you get these 2 pages, you know that you have blank spots. You won't have a question mark here because you'll leave that entirely empty to be able to find out. You'll want to know where in Victor is the cemetery and where was she buried. You'll want to know the death or the birth of these kids and their spouse. Are they married? Are they single? Are they, whatever. And then you just keep on. And then you'll put all this together under the same name and it will be filed. This is why it's important. If you put this in alphabetical order, which I'll talk about here in a little bit, if you put it in alphabetical order, all this information on everybody that's on this page is going to be under Dad's last name. So then if you happen to come up when you're looking for one of these kids in this bunch, and you're looking for him from her name before she married Dad, you're not going to find these kids underneath that on the page. You're going to have to know that she married Dad in order to find it. But if you put it in generational order, which like I said, I'll talk about it in a minute, then you'll be able to find them because they'll be in the right generation. All right, let's get back to the scheduled program. Sorry for the mix-up. Over to what a pedigree chart looks like. I showed you this with mine filled out the other day, but we're going to do this again. I'm just going to put names in. I ain't going to go all the dates. course, we're going to start with me. You always start with a main person. It doesn't always have to be you. I could have started with Dad and then went backwards. But I'm going to start with me, and then I'm going to go to Dad. Now, when you're doing this, Dad's name was Robert, but everybody knowed him as Buck. So you can put any nicknames or whatever you want to on there. Down here, Mom, she was known as Frances. She didn't go by Arlene until she went to work. Dad's name was Robert. His mom's name was Dolly. Mom's dad's name was Bernard. I'll tell you when I get to them, when I get to other things, I'll tell you a funny story about Granddaddy Hankins and Lottie. Then you go up one more from these, and Granddaddy's dad's name was Joseph. And his mom's name was Missouri. Isn't that an interesting name? See, there's the things that you can find out. People have interesting names. Grandma's dad's name was Leo, and her mom's name was Mary, but everybody called her Liz. Granddaddy's dad's name was Hezekiah, and his mom's name was Lula Alice, but they called her Louisa Alice. And Grandma's dad's name was Leander, and her mom's name was Ephibel. Now, when you're filling this out, of course, you would put in the name, when they were born, where they were born at, who they married, where they died, and then you put their little spouse's name. Like I can put Tim's name right here. That way, you can come down and say, put Tim's name and say continued on page whatever, and then you can number your charts as you're going through, so that when you're looking for something or when you're hunting for something, you can know that it's on. You can find it on chart whatever. But that is how easy it is to fill out a pedigree chart. Now, I will give you that I already have all this information, so therefore I know this information. If you have this sheet of paper and you go in and all you have is, say all you have is your dad's name, you don't have the mom's name. This piece of paper will be the port of information that you want to find, or that information. Whatever information that is blank on this sheet of paper is the information that you'll want to concentrate on looking for, because you already have the basics. So that is called a pedigree chart. And if you put like number, here it says number 1 on this chart is, or you might put number 1 on this chart, you might be doing Joseph, number 1 on this chart is the same as chart number whatever. So you can label your charts however you want to. I usually don't. I put my stuff in generational order. That way my first generation would of course have me and my sisters and brothers and cousins and all that stuff. Then the next generation goes back. But if you're only doing a direct line, you would have you, then your mom and dad, then their parents, and then on back. But that will give you a lot of information, because like I said the last time, you start out with 1, you, then you end up with 2, and then 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, and on and on and on. And it does not take many generations for you to get up there to where there's a lot of people. Alright, so that takes care of the 2 things that I wanted to talk to you about. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the different filing systems that you can use. And like I was just saying, you can file your stuff in alphabetical order. Say you want to start and you want to put everybody in alphabetical order, because for you, it would be easier to find that name alphabetized. So you go in and you put everybody in by their last name in alphabetical order. So then it's easy to find. Me personally, I do mine in generational order because I've been doing it so long that it's easier for me to find my great-great-great-grandfather if I know which generation to look in, and then I can decipher it down. It would be easy if I didn't have so much information to do it alphabetically. But then you wouldn't have the parents of the in-laws and the parents on the same generation. You would have them, say you had one that ended in J and for Johnson, and then you had one that ended for V for Victor. You're going to have them quite a ways apart from each other, where if you put them in the same generation, you're going to know that these lived about the same time frame. They lived about, what area they lived in and stuff. So you can probably deduce, like I did, that mom went down to the swimming hole, met dad, blah, blah, blah. You could pretty much determine that from just their locality. The online stuff that you can use is Family Tree Maker is a good system to set up. It is a little pricey, I think. I paid over $100, I think, to get mine on my computer, but they did send you a backup version, so if you needed to have it on something else, you could put it on something else, so that then all your information is kept. I personally like to keep a paper backup, even if I do keep it on the computer. I want to have a paper backup, but like I was telling Sean earlier today, I don't want these kids to have to go through a whole ton of papers to try to decipher my system when they can simply use that little hard drive in order to find any information that they might be interested in, or somebody that asked them something they could check real quick. Like my kids used to come in, because I was doing family history so much, if they met a new boy in school, they wanted to know if they were kin to them. So we'd get the family tree out, look, say, no, you're good. But what the version that I'm using right now is Family Tree Maker 2019. It is a great program because it ties in Ancestry, Family Search, and RootsWeb all on the same web search thing that they've got. So you can even hit Google and some of the other search engines to look for stuff. So that's pretty cool. It makes your time a whole lot less if you can do that. But any information that you find online about a family member, please take it with a grain of salt. Try to find at least 2 more sources, a marriage license or a death certificate that confirms the information that you found. And they do have those available. When you research it, they'll have family trees, and if there's a marriage certificate or a death certificate, not the certificate, but the record kept somewhere, and it's been posted, they will pull that up for you. I again suggest getting a hard drive. You can get one of the little ones, those little chip things that you can get, those cards. You can put it on that, but it will not take very long for that to get filled up. These come in, I've got one that's a 2 trig. This one is a 5 trig. I wanted to get the biggest one that I could get at the time in order to back all this up after I got the Family Tree Maker. But paper is your best option. But all that work you've done, all that work that I have done, if something drastic would happen and the house would catch on fire, this is so much easier to grab and run with than it would be to grab those books. And it has all of the information that I currently have. It has it all on here. So that's a second version of reason. Now this cost me $89. That is not cheap. Where a pad of paper will cost you $3 and a printer, and you're ready to go. So it's up to you how much money you want to invest in it, and how much time you're going to have, because a lot of people just don't have the time. The sites that I checked out this morning was Ancestry.com, and it showed on it that if you got paid by the year, it was $110. They basically just want you to sign up. That way you can get in there and find out all the information that you want. RootsWeb is a free site that you can get into. It has a lot of different things. You can find birth records and death records and military records and stuff like that you can try to match with your people. And it is free. All you got to do is go to rootsweb.com. You don't have to have any program. You can just look that up on the internet. Another one that I found this morning is called Genealogy Records Search. I have not had anything to do with this at all, but it does say that you have to become a member. So I don't know how much it costs to become a member, but they do say you have to become a member. MyHeritage is another place like Family Tree Maker where you can start your tree online, and it assists you to find new members, and it stated on it that it was $7.42 plus tax a month. Genealogy Bank is another site. It said it was $79.80 yearly. I haven't done any research on that one either. I'm just trying to catch myself up here. And finally, if you're just looking for some place to look, go to, if you're in West Virginia, and I'm sure all states have this, all you have to do is look it up, look up your archives, and see if they have an online site. You just go into West Virginia State Archives, and it's going to come up in Charleston, and what you'll find on there, they'll have birth, marriage, and death records.
Change back.
Okay. Now it says yes, and there's two ways. I'm trying to read my notes here. There's two ways that you can do it. I've already touched on it before. Your direct line is only you, your parents, your grandparents, no aunts, no uncles, no cousins, no anything, which is perfect, because if somebody's just wanting to do their genealogy, that is perfect. It will take you back to the spot you need, and you can tell everybody basically where you come from. We come from all over Europe, so there's not one particular something in our blood, but it does not give you, like, it won't give you your dad's brothers and sisters, it won't give you your cousins, it won't give you anything like that. So you don't have to take up that space to get that in. Now I do an all-inclusive, which basically I do everybody. If I have information on like dad's brothers and sisters and their kids and their grandkids and on and on and on, it's all put in there. If I got access to it, I put it in there, because at some point in time, they're not going to be here anymore either. And so somebody down the line might be researching them, just like I've been researching my grandmother and grandfather and their fathers and mothers. So it's important to just somebody to be able to keep the record of that stuff, so that if somebody's looking for it later on down in life, it will be easily found. This is what I hope. I hope that I have encouraged some of you to look into the past and keep those stories of your families alive. There's a lot of stories out there, guys. I mean, I found people that were through the Civil War, through the Revolutionary War, through the War of 1812. So you know, my granddaddy was drafted during World War I. So you know very good and well that all those people that were drafted and served in the service left their wives or girlfriends or mothers at home. So there's stories out there that happened that it would be interesting for the grandkids and great-grandkids to know. But if you have any questions, or you have any thing that you'd like to add to whatever I'm doing, you can contact me through journalthroughlife from beginning at Gmail. I'd love to hear from all of you. You could just put a comment down in the bottom of this thing if you want to. Tell me what you state from. Do you think you're kin to us? Is there possibility? Did you recognize the name of somebody that I put on there? It would be interesting to talk to you, to get this family dinner table working strongly, and so when I sat down here of a morning and I go to look at my emails, I can answer 2 or 3 of you. Just leave as many comments as you want. You can help me by leaving the comments, leaving a like, share it with somebody that you think that's in the family that might be interested in following me to see what we're going to get into as the time goes on. I would like to if you haven't subscribed, I'd like to get by the end of February, get 20 subscribers. I'm not asking for the world, guys, but I would like to see some growth. I currently have 9 on this channel, so I would like to see 20 by the end of February. So if you could, it doesn't cost you anything, and it won't cost you anything. Hit that like button and the subscribe button. So if you have a avenue that you want me to explore, do you want me to go more in depth on the programs that's available, that's out there? Do you want me to go stronger on the pedigree chart, the ancestry chart, whatever? Let me know and we will work something out. I can develop sheets that I can email you and you can print them out and then start filling it out. You know, just let me know what you're interested in and I will take care of it for you as much as I can. And I am going to say that is the end of this video. I do appreciate each and every one of you stopping by. I hope that you return. I hope that you can give me some feedback so that I can continue to grow this channel, because I am really excited about the genealogy aspect of anybody's family. I think that it's fascinating. I think you would find it fascinating. And in a world so full of gotta goes, just a minute to sit and say, oh wow, this was happening when my grandma and granddaddy was sitting down at a dinner table. What were they saying at the time? Wouldn't that be fascinating to just speculate on what somebody could say at a dinner table 50, 60, 70 years ago? Now, I can remember sitting at the dinner table when I was a kid. We had an old wooden table that had a bench on both sides, so we would sit at it neat. Dad had the chair at the front. So it was, kids don't get that these days. They eat wherever they want to. Now, there are some that still insist on their kids sitting at a dinner table, and I hope you have good conversation when you do. Don't make it a place to fight or argue. Make it a place to teach your kids something important about life. All right, guys, I'm going to kick off here, and I will see you 2 weeks from today, which will be it's 19th. Today's the 20th, so it'll be the 27th. I will pre-record the one that's going to come up on the 6th, because I am hoping to get to go to Bryn's wedding. I'll get more information for the family tree. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.